Jonathan Davis is a friend of this programme, an economist and wealth manager. We've spoken to him of old. I'd love to know what he thinks about this one. Hello, Jonathan. Good morning.
Morning, Vanessa.
Well, does he deserve the cash?
Well, after having watched markets and companies for many years, it appears to me that the sole job of a chief executive of a public listed company is to raise the share price. And the share price of RBS has halved in the last 12 months. And if the bonus is to be paid in relation to what happened in the last 12 months, then he has singularly failed in his objectives to raise the value of a publicly listed company. No, he should not get the bonus. Obviously, if he's offered it, he's going to take it. Mm-hmm. So what on earth are Cameron, Clegg, Osborne and Cable doing, twittering about it and moaning about it? They are the major shareholders. We elected them in order to act for us. Why are they not saying, you know what, you're not getting it. You're not getting a £2 to £2.5 million pay package. You're a civil servant. Obviously, when you leave being a civil servant, they'll give you a knighthood. That's what happens in these things. No, he shouldn't get the bonus, but you know what? That's not even the issue.
Okay, so wait. Let me just ask you a couple of questions about this before we get completely carried away. First of all, yes, you're right. The share price has halved, but profits are up. They're up to a £2 billion profit as opposed to £1.6 billion loss at this time last year. Can you just explain for us how it can be that a company is making a sizable and notable profit, but the share price is halved at the same time? How does that work?
Because global financiers who invest in these companies realise that the banking sector is shot to pieces, and it's all very well that many banks made big profits in the last year, but monkeys in banking could have made profits last year, because the way the system is, the banks are in effect lending at practically no interest, borrowing, practically no interest from the government or the Bank of England, and then they are then going back in and lending to the government at something like 2 to 3%. Think about it. You borrow at practically nothing, you lend it back at 2 or 3%. You could not fail to make money in banking in the last year. That's the way the system's working. So the fact that they made a profit is irrelevant. The share price is halved because the banking system is shot to pieces, so no one is investing in banking.
OK, what about the fact that it wasn't, as you put it, Cameron, Clegg, Osborne and Cable who drew up the original contract, but Gordon Brown at the time and the ministers responsible? So is there an argument for saying there's nothing that the current government can do because the contract exists and you can't start saying, OK, it may say that in your contract, but we're not paying you?
Gordon Clown did indeed draw up this ridiculous contract to bring in a civil servant, knowing full well that he was going to be paid millions and millions of pounds. There is absolutely something that the government can do, and they can stop bailing out banks, because that is the root problem here. The symptom is the vast bonuses, whether it's Hester or anyone, the vast bonuses that all the bankers are receiving. The problem, the root problem, is that every couple of years, historically over the last few years, we are printing tens or hundreds of billions of pounds and literally handing it to the City of London. We are making fabulously wealthy people even more fabulously wealthy, and the problem with printing is ultimately, you and I and all your listeners are going to have to pay for that. We're paying for it in higher inflation. The fact in the short term inflation is falling a bit is not material. We're paying it with long-term higher inflation, higher taxes, lower public services. There is a massive upside-down funnel going on here where money is being sucked up by the masses and given to the fabulously wealthy. It's totally ridiculous. Ugly. It needs to stop.
OK, what about the argument that this wasn't his doing. He's not the guy that was responsible for the downfall of RBS, and that he was doing very nicely, thank you, in a variety of extremely well-paid jobs, heading up a whole string of impressive-sounding different banks, and that if you don't pay him this money and give him this vast bonus, he'll just hair off over the horizon, leaving the place in a terrible pickle. That we need this dude. We need to keep Stephen Hester happy. We need to keep him well paid, and that £1.2 million as a basic salary is nothing but chicken feed. It's just a peppercorn salary. He needs a really, really sizable bonus as well to grease his palms sufficiently so that he'll do us the honour of carrying on doing the job that we need him to do. This is one case where he really can say, look, if you don't give me decent money, I will go back to the private sector, and they will open their arms wide to him and embrace him, isn't it?
It's an astounding argument. I mean, of course, I hear it all over the mainstream media that this individual is some kind of Superman, that without Stephen Hester, RBS is going to fall flat in its face. What a ridiculous argument. A monkey could run that, or anyone with senior management skills, whether in banking or not, could do that job. That's the reality, because whether they make money or lose money, the government is going to bail them out. That is a ridiculous situation.
Yeah, but they're £2 billion in profit. That's not monkey stuff, is it? That's not a monkey business.
I go back to how the banks, the international banks, are making money right now. They are borrowing. Look, the Bank of England rate is 0.5%. What that means is that the banks can borrow from the Bank of England at 0.5%. And then what they do is they lend it back to the government by buying government gilts, and they get 2 or 3% for the same money. It is a license to print money.
Why are you laughing? Is it kind of rueful laughter? Is it? Is it malicious laughter? Is it because you're all right, Jack, and you've got your own customers with your wealth management company, and you've done something magnificent to insulate them against all of this, so you know none of this really affects you? What is the laughter due to?
The laughter is that the mainstream media focuses on Stephen Hester as being the big bad wolf. Actually, you guys need to be getting to the root cause of the problem. There is a massive herring rouge. There's a massive red herring going on here. Goebbels said, if you tell the people often enough whether it's true or not, eventually they'll come to believe it. And that's what's going on here, that we have to bail out the city, we have to pay bankers an awful lot of money, and also we have to focus all of our media time on Stephen Hester. No, what we need to do is look at the root problems of what successive governments are doing to us, whether it's Clown or Cameron. They're doing exactly the same thing. They are, as I say, every so often they're allowing the Bank of England to print massive amounts of money and hand it to the bankers. People need to get real and need to understand that for decades the city and politicians have wanted us to believe that what is good for the city is good for the country. Now, that is only true in the short term. The reality is we have given these guys hundreds of billions of pounds, and here we are focusing on £1 million.
I think it's because, I think you know why, because for most of us, anything bigger is beyond our grasp. We can't focus on the billions and the trillions of pounds because it's so out of control. It's so unimaginably vast. We can't grasp it. And I don't mean to patronise either myself or my listeners, but it's just so enormous. It's beyond our ken, isn't it?
Well, that's putting yourselves down. I'm sure lots of people can understand that in this country, because of successive government policies, we now have 9.5 times the size of our economy as debt. And you can bring that down to a household level. If one of your listeners had debts of 9.5 times their income, You know as well as I do, there is absolutely no way on earth they're going to get out of that without bankruptcy. Countries are going bankrupt as we speak. Companies in 2008 were going bankrupt. We had the biggest economic and financial collapse in history. Countries are now going bust. That's the reality. And that's what the politicians and the bankers and most of the mainstream media don't want us to realise, that we are in massive, dire straits, and they are pretending that they can do something about it. Those politicians who say we must have growth, and those politicians who say we need growth, or we're trying to get growth, both of them are being 100% disingenuous. You cannot have growth when you have 9.5 times the size of your economy as debt.
Jonathan, go and lie down in a chaise longue in a darkened room with a nice cool flannel on your forehead. Thank you so much. Thank you for venting your spleen and really, that disgorging your guts. That was tremendous. Jonathan Davis, thank you so much, economist and wealth manager. Now, you may have disagreed with every word that he uttered there, or you may have thought that as often my listeners do, he talks a great deal of sense, although every single word of it miserable and wretched as hell.